Welcome to Illo Talk. I am Cory Kerr, and today I want to show you how to make things move around like this and like this. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take a little walk down rubber hose and how to parent rubber hose. Two things so that you can move things around kind of automatically with wiggle expression and some other things. And so get out After Effects, get out Illustrator, get out Photoshop, whatever you like to draw in and whatever you like to animate in, and let's get started.
This is Illo Talk.
I am in Illustrator here. And inside of Illustrator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these things. So I'll just show you these two. Now, if you're going to be doing this, there's two things that are really important that I've found for rubber hose. One is that you need to have the pieces be roughly the same height. And two is you need to start them vertically. And so let me kind of show you what I mean, but you'll see that I've set this up so that this piece here, which I'm calling tractor lower, and this piece here, which I call tractor upper, are roughly the same height, and they are both vertical. Okay, so I'm just going to take this, I'm going to align it to the center of the artboard here. Nope, not selection artboard. There we go. Okay, save that file. Jump over to After Effects. Okay, now once we're in After Effects, I open up a composition, or I can import this into an existing composition or whatever. I'm going to hit the comma or apostrophe. Sorry, hit apostrophe or the quote key, the same key, and that will bring up these little crosshairs. And so what we're looking for here is we're looking for these little crosshairs right here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to line everything up with that. So let's take a look at what we're doing there. So I'm going to import that file, okay, which I will come in here like this. And so I've imported that file. I've got the different things. And so I'm going to grab tractor lower. Okay, and I don't care that it's kind of off the screen right now, because I'm going to have them bend. But you might want to make it bigger or smaller. So that's kind of up to you. Then I'm going to take tractor upper. I'm going to put that in here. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I want the joint to line up with that plus sign. So I want the joint to line up with that plus sign. And then you'll want to have rubber hose installed already. I've got videos on that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select upper first, lower second, and then over here, I'm going to hit this little button right here. And so that little button right there, what you're looking at is you're looking at the new rubber rig. And if you've selected them in the correct order and they're set up where their joint is at the plus sign and they are vertical, then when you push this button, it runs through a script. And that script, if I can zoom out here, gives you controllers. And so these controllers will bend and warp and do whatever else. Okay, so I've got these controllers. Now I've got a couple settings that I like on these controllers. The first thing that I like to do is I no longer need these to be editable. And so I can lock those. You might even want to hide them if you want. I typically don't touch the center. So I'm going to lock and hide that as well. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I am going to take my wrist or shoulder. You select one of the controls, it'll give you this. I want realism to be 100%. That means that these are fixed, that they don't compress and bend. Okay, and then I can control bend direction if I want it to bend the other way or this way. So I like the way that it's bending now. Okay, you leave kind of everything else the way that it is. And then you can come in and you can grab these and you'll notice that it kind of moves. So let me jump over to this guy and I'll show you kind of what I mean here. So what I'm talking about is I can come in, I can grab one of these controllers and I can lift it up and it will bend, it will do whatever, right? And so it kind of does all that stuff. grab a different one here. Let's see, let's grab one in the front. There we go. And so this will kind of come forward. Now you'll notice that as I do that, that the one in the back is doing the opposite. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But the next part of what I want to show you how to do here is actually pretty cool. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at how to parent things. And so you'll see that the cool part about what's going on is that where the car moves, the legs automatically follow. And so if the car moves back or up or rotates, then the car kind of does that as well. And the cool thing about that is that you can come in and I can kind of move this. I'm gonna jump over here and I'm gonna grab our car here just to kind of show you how this works. Okay, and if I lift it up, everything lifts. If I move it over, everything moves over. If I move it down or forward or whatever, or if I come and I rotate it like this or like that, everything kind of moves with it. And so the way that we're doing that is we are actually kind of parenting what's going on. And so you'll see that the controls here, which I've represented with those little orange circles, are parented to the car. And so wherever the car goes, those controls go, and wherever those controls go, it controls the rig of that leg, or in this case, the kind of little piston boom arm thing. Okay? And so once you've got the parenting set up, then you can come in and you can automate some of this. And so what I did in this case is I came in and I added a rotation wiggle expression, a wiggle expression on the X, a wiggle expression on the Y of that car. And then I added a wiggle expression on the X position of the wheels, and the wheels that are further away from us, or the far wheels, I parented those, pick whipped those in the expression, and then multiplied it by -1. So let me take you through kind of all of that. So we'll kind of jump back over here, and let's kind of set this up. So I'm just gonna make a new one here. Side. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this in there. I'm gonna increase the size of my thing. So Control K, and let's just go make the width larger and hit OK. That's a little bit better. We're going to need a much bigger thing because I made these really big. So let's go 7,000 wide, and we'll go 4,000 tall. Let's see if we can do this while streaming. There we go. All right, so then we'll come back over here, put this on fit. Okay, put our wagon behind everything. And now I've just got these controllers, right? And so I'm going to take this controller, just going to put it over here, and find this controller. Let's lock our wagon for right now so don't accidentally grab it again. Grab the shoulder. I'll kind of come in here like this. I'm going to put that on that front wheel, kind of where I want that to pivot. Okay, so I'm going to take this controller, okay, and I want to attach that to the car. And so I can grab this little pick whip, and I can click and drag. You'll notice it changes it to number 6, because if we unhide this, that's the 6th layer, and it changes it to that. So now that controller, if I take this, I'll unlock it, take this car, and I'm going to put a wiggle expression on rotation, okay? So before I do that though, you'll notice that wherever I move this car, it's kind of parented to that. Just like if we go over here and we kind of show this, you'll see that wherever that car moves, you know, it's back over. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. All right, if I rotate it, then it'll rotate or whatever. It's pinned, basically. It's kind of like, think of like a brad or a pin in a paper that, you know, is connecting two things. So there's a joint there now. But the nice thing is I only have to put keyframes on one thing, and the rest of this will follow. Okay, so I've got that, and I'm going to hold Alt and click right over here on this stopwatch. And that when you Alt click on that, that brings up your that brings up your expressions menu. Okay, and I'm going to start typing the word wiggle. Okay, and once I get that on the menu, I can hit enter. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do frequency and amplitude. And so frequency is the first number, and that's going to be however often I want this to happen per second. So let's say that I want it to be kind of a rough ride. So I'm going to say 3 times per second, comma, I want you to rotate 10 degrees. Okay, frequency amplitude. And if you'd like more information on what I just did, you can go to my AI to AE playlist, and that will kind of show you more of what's going on. But basically what we've got here is it's wiggling back and forth, and you'll notice it does that. And then I'm going to click on this again, and I'm going to hit P to open up the position, right click, separate dimensions. On the X value, I'm going to add another wiggle. Okay, now your numbers are going to be different than my numbers, but if you want it to be faster, then the frequency goes up. If you want it to be slower, the frequency goes down, and you can do fractions as well, decimals actually. And so I could make it be kind of a slow movement. Let's do that. And so I'm going to go 0.3. So that's going to happen every 3 seconds, right? And so that's going to happen a third of a second, and then I'm going to hit comma, and then let's say that I want you to move 250 pixels along that axis. And so now what it'll do is it's going to rotate while it slowly drifts forward and backward. Okay, and so we've got kind of that going on. If I want to speed that up, I can change my frequency to be faster. So now I'm going to go 5. Okay, and now you'll notice that it moves forward and back much quicker. That's what the frequency does. If I want it to move more, then I can increase my amplitude, which is the second number in the wiggle expression. Let's say 750. Okay, and now it'll move more than it was moving before. Okay, also it's still rotating. Okay, so I'm going to slow that down because that's going to be a little jerky for me. So let's bring this back down. Let's put it at half a second. Okay, on the frequency. Okay, so that's going to move back and forth like that. And then I'm going to take, I like that movement, so I'm going to take that same one and I'm going to put it on the Y position. Alt-click on the stopwatch, just paste that over into the expression menu, click out of that, and now it's going to go up and down while it rotates. Okay, I want it to go up and down a little bit faster, and so I'm going to go on the Y position, and I'm going to, let's go 5, but I don't want it to be as crazy, so I'm going to bring that down to 250. Okay, and now it's going to bounce, so kind of bounce up and down as it rotates. Okay, so that's great. Now we can do another leg if we want, or we can add a wheel. And so let's find our wheel here. I'm going to drag a wheel over here like this. Okay, so we'll put that wheel on there, and then I want that wheel to be attached to this controller, but just the position. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the position, and instead of using the pick whip to parent the entire thing, I'm going to parent the position to the position here. And so I'm going to grab this position, okay? But before I do this, I'm going to separate dimensions, okay? Separate dimensions on that. I'm just right-clicking to pull up that menu. And I'm going to pick whip the X position to the X position, okay? And I'm going to pick up the Y position to the Y position. The reason I'm doing that is I'm going to put a wiggle on the X position of this controller so that it kind of moves back and forth. But you'll notice that it does that. But because we didn't parent it, I can still come in and I can go, let's make this rotate like that. And I'll add a keyframe there. Okay, and so now it's going to spin. You'll notice that it's rotating, but I want it to keep rotating. So we'll add another expression. Alt, click, okay, and I'm going to start typing loop out, okay, and loop out, I want to leave that there, that's great, okay, and that will just continue to spin even past that keyframe because it's going to loop through those keyframes. More on loop out expression in my AI to AE playlist, which kind of goes through that in greater detail. Okay, but if I want this wheel to kind of move back and forth, okay, I'm going to take this controller, and I'm going to add another wiggle expression. Let's go wiggle. Hit return. I'm going to put in, let's say, twice a second, move 150 pixels. And you'll kind of have to guess kind of to get those to go the way that you want them to go. Okay, so now we've got that and it's moving. I'm going to make that move a little bit more drastically. So let's just bring that up to like 450 pixels. Great. Okay, now you notice it's moving back and forth. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to add one more leg here, And you'll notice that if I go back over here, that the way that I've got this, if I grab this controller in the back, that when I move this one forward, the other one moves back. When I move it back, the other one moves forward. Okay? And that's pretty cool. And so let me show you how to do that. What we're going to do is we are going to come in and we will say, let's add another thing. So I'm going to grab these tractor legs. This time I'm just going to use, let's just put this piston in here. It'll be kind of fun. And so let's put that right there like that. Okay, and then what else do we have in here? This won't even make any sense, but let's use this. Grab this guy and stick him in there. Okay, those are not the same size. We'll see if this breaks it or not. It might. Select the top one, select the bottom one, go back to rubber hose, make a new rig. Okay, that's great. I don't see the other controller, but let's see where it is. There it is. Okay, that's not bad. All right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to pull it up. It's already starting to bend. I don't want it to bend. And so, oh, we wanted to put this in the back. So let's put this over here like this, offset it a little bit. We'll grab the other one, drag that, and we'll put it down like this, about there. Okay, now I want it to bend the other way. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn my realism up to 100. I'm going to turn my bend direction to -100. Okay. Then I'm going to take the layers that those are controlling. I'm going to put those behind everything. Okay, so now they're behind everything. Okay, but because I didn't parent them, our wiggle expression is kind of jumping. So I'm going to need to make some adjustments there. So let's go grab hose 2. Grab our deal here. We'll put this one out here like this. And we'll grab the shoulder. Put it out there like that. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to go back and reverse what I did before because I changed my mind. So let's take bend direction back up to 100. Okay. And I'm just going to take the shoulder here and I'm going to parent that to the car. Okay. And then I'm going to take the wrist controller and I'm just going to move this. It actually doesn't matter where I move that right now. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit P for position, right click, separate dimensions. Now, I want to find the other controller, which is not that one. So I'm going to lock that one since it's parented and hide it. Okay, and I don't need the center either, so we'll hide that. I'm just using the wrists. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to go X position, and I want to Alt click. And instead of typing something in here, I'm just going to do a little equation. So I'm gonna open up parentheses, and I'll just say X, close parentheses, and I want to multiply that by -1. Okay. And what we're going to get is we're going to get it, and it's going to jump way off to the side because it's going to be a negative number of whatever this value is. But before I do that, I'm going to select X, and I'm going to grab this pick whip, and I'm going to jump over to the other controller's X value and pick whip that. And so when I do that, it puts that in that thing. And so what I've done is it's saying inside of this composition, go find the layer called hose 1 wrist, and I want you to give me the X position value. All of that is contained inside of parentheses, and so all of that becomes one number. And then we multiply that by -1. Okay. And then I click away, and it jumps way over there. So I'm going to have to zoom out and say, oh my gosh, what is it doing over there? This one is at 6,000. This one is at -6,100. So I am going to take this, and I'm going to put it all in one thing. So the whole thing, we get that negative value, and then I'm going to add, let's see what happens when we add 6,000 pixels to that. Okay, it starts to move in the right direction. Okay, and there are people that are better at math than I am that could probably figure this out. Okay, but if I go in and I add a certain number, and I want this to be kind of ahead of it, so I'm going to add a little bit more. That's too much. So let's let's go back to 12 and let's maybe make it 12.8. Let's see if that's enough. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we can come back in. Let's zoom back in on this. Okay, and now what we've got is when that wheel moves forward, the other one moves opposite it. And so I can grab this controller that the other one is parented to, and when it moves back, the other one moves forward. And when it moves forward, the other one moves back. Notice that if I move it up, nothing happens because I only did the X position. But you could do both of them if you wanted. But I really like how that works. I'm just going to hit the quote button to get rid of that. Okay, so you can kind of see how that works. Okay, and then because we have a wiggle expression on that, if we just play it, that back one will just do the opposite. Okay, now one thing that I like to do, just to show that this is behind the other, and let me just solo that, is I grab this and I go to Effect, and I go to Color Correction, Hue Saturation. Okay, and I take my lightness and I just kind of dim it a little bit. And then I can come back over here. Okay, I'll unsolo this. And now you've got kind of that thing. I can add a wheel to that. I can do all kinds of different things. But what that will do is that will bring us back to this situation where we have it's parented and it moves, okay? And when you add the wiggle expressions to it, we've got the rotation, the X position, and the Y position on the car. And then we've got the shoulder controls of those arm joints from rubber hose parented to the car. And so where the car moves back and forth or rotates, those controllers move. And then I've added to that X position wiggle. And so that's kind of how that works. And basically what I've done there is I have gone in and I've made it so that the car will move around and backwards and forwards. The controllers do that automatically. We get a little bit of bounce, a little bit of wiggle going on. And with that, you can kind of see that we can kind of play with this. I'm gonna stop this. And we'll go over to kind of this, and you can see what's going on. It just automatically does that. So none of this is keyframed. But if I wanted to keyframe it, I still have that option to come in, hit position here, and I can add vertical or horizontal keyframes. And so I can say, let's keyframe this so that it moves way back like that, and then it'll move way forward like that. Okay, but we still get, and then I'll just move it back to kind of a middle position. But what we still get is we still get that random movement that's happening through the wiggle expression, but you can adjust the height and the horizontal distance, kind of that vehicle, and everything reacts to it. And so anyway, that's just something that I really like, kind of how that works. And I really like the idea of being able to parent things to other things so that you have to keyframe less and everything just kind of reacts in a somewhat natural way. So if you liked that and you want to see more of it, then you can like and subscribe and all that jazz. Do I even have those guys on here? I don't have these on here. I think if I go like this though, let's go. I'm playing with a new feature, so you can kind of see over here. I have these like controls, and so this will switch camera angles. So I can hit that. It switches camera angles. This one will switch scenes, so I can jump over here like this, and jump back over here like that. And so if I jump over here and I hit that button, there we go. There's the like and subscribe. So if you liked this video and found it valuable, hit that like button. If you want more of this stuff, you can subscribe. If you really liked it, then you can come in here and you can share it with other people. And if you want to be notified when I come up with new videos, then make sure that you kind of go in and ring that bell. Anyway, you guys are awesome, and I will see you guys later. Let me just do this and hit my out button.
This is